Greetings out there in YouTube land. This is Morris, man. As always, I thank you for coming to my channel. I'm going to entitle this video because I think it's pretty interesting. I thought I would share with you guys. I think I'm going to entitle it Chris Jasper, which is the former keyboard player with the Isley brothers and the Gap Band, Reinvention. And I'm going to touch on the Chris Jasper thing first. Chris Jasper is a very talented guy and very humble guy. You know, he's one of my Facebook friends and we chat all the time. And I just seen, because him and his wife they're celebrating, I think, like 30 years of marriage. So congratulations to you and the Mrs. Chris. And when I put that message in there for Chris, I ran across this and I thought it was pretty interesting because I already kind of knew this, but it's just confirmation of this. Someone mentioned, it says, "Is that you, Chris, playing on the new Isley Brothers music?" And Chris responding, this is from Chris's mouth verbatim: "If you're talking about the rumors that Ronald, Ernie, and Chris Jasper are working in a new album," and this statement here I'm about to read is in capital letters, all capital letters, "that is completely false." Uncapital letters. "I haven't recorded an album with them since 1983, Between the Sheets. I don't have any plans to ever work with them again. Don't believe everything you read. Thanks for letting me know about the ridiculous rumor." And I'm going to read that last part again. "I don't have any plans to ever work with them again. Don't believe everything you read. Thanks for letting me know about this ridiculous rumor." Now, the reason why Chris Jasper is salty, and he got every right to be salty, because how he ended up being departed from the Isley Brothers, he said one day he got a letter from the band's attorney saying he's no longer a member. Now these are his family, because I think he's related to them by marriage. He married one of their I think he married their sister. So that's how he is related. I thought he was a cousin, but actually he's in there from a marriage. And they're like family. Well, they are family, and you can't tell this other person that this is probably not in your best interest to be a part of this anymore. You got to get a letter from an attorney like you some stranger. So I would be quite offended and pissed too, but unfortunately sometimes people let money override everything. It overrides loyalty, it overrides love. It's just all about the money. The money is first, and it's just a shame that it's that way. And what's interesting is, because I don't know, and I'm not going to assume, but I'm going to give you some theories, why he left the group or why they wanted him to leave. I think one was jealousy, because what most of us don't know, because the Isley Brothers have been around since the late 50s. First it was just the three brothers. And then I think like the late 60s to early 70s, Ernie came in and Chris came in. Prior to that, it was just the three brothers. And their sound was more or less Motown. This old heart of mine, twist and shout, shake. You want to shake? I said, I want to get my hands up and shout. Yeah, shout. But it wasn't until Chris joined the group that they redefined their sound as we know it. Because when we think of Isley Brothers, we think of Between the Sheets, we think of Voice to Atlantis, we think of Let's Fall in Love, Make Me Say It Again, all those Stone Cold jams. And Chris was instrumental, should I say, instrumental in shaping their sound as we know it. Because again, when I think of Isley Brothers, I don't think of Shout. I don't think of This Old Heart of Mine. I think of, again, the songs I just named, just to name a few. I don't believe he got the credit that he deserved, because he was the guy who shaped their sound. And I heard recently a demo that he did of one of the songs he wrote for the Isley Brothers, which, of course, Ronald sang lead on everything. And I'm like, man, this guy can sing. I mean, really sing. So why didn't he ever get a chance to sing lead on some of the songs he wrote? And I guess it was kind of a democracy thing within the band, as far as this is what you're going to do and only do. This is what you're going to do, and this is what you're going to do. Even though you're talented enough to do some of the other stuff, you're just going to do this. And then I'm just going to do this, and always this, So I think that was one of the reasons why they branched it off, Ernie, Marvin, and Chris. And what I found to be interesting when they left and they recorded their albums, it sounded like a Isley Brothers album. And that's because Chris Jasper was kind of the man behind the music. He's the one who shaped their sound. Because normally and I give you a good example, when you're not really the person that does this, and when you leave, we can tell that you weren't the one because you didn't take it with you. When Babyface and LA got together and wrote some serious funky dance jams and some ballads, when they disbanded and Babyface went his way, from that point on, Babyface did nothing but ballads. Just nothing but ballads. There was nothing up tempo like, hey, none of them funky drum beats that were in those early stuff that he did and they did for Pebbles and stuff. So that let me know that Babyface was not the funk guy. He was the ballad guy, because when he left, he remained the ballad guy. He was never at that point when he left that he was the funky and ballad guy. He just was the ballad guy. So that lets you know who was doing what. When that other person left, he didn't take it with him. And that's the same thing with the Isley Brothers in reverse. When Jasper left to form, the threesome, or, Ernie, Marvin, and himself, he took the sound with him. It was like, okay, it's the same sound that, Caravan of Lows could have been an Isley Brothers song because it had the same groove, same format musically, same instrumentation. So, I found it kind of interesting that, that they didn't give him the credit due. And I think that's one reason why, he has no problem never working with them again. I totally understand. And with the Gap Band, when we think of the Gap Band, because this is along the same lines as far as sound, your sound, when we think of the Gap Band, we think of Shake, Party Lights, we think of Yearning for Your Love, we think of Burn Rub on Me, we think of You Dropped the Bomb on Me, Outstanding. When we think of the Gap Band, we think of those songs and that sound. But what I found interesting was, because I just found this out like 3 years ago, that the Gap Band had, well, first let me just say this. They were on, I think, Total Experience Records at that time when we heard all those great songs, and they were produced by a gentleman by the name of Lonnie Simmons. Their sound at that time. But the Gap Band actually, I think, released at least one. I think it was 2 albums prior to joining that record label. And I heard that stuff, I was like, this don't move me. And I was like, it's interesting to hear this versus this, because I'm like, this sound like 2 different bands. Because the first stuff, it's kind of hard to explain or describe it, but there was nothing there that was really in your face. It's like, whoa, yeah, nothing. But when they changed labels, changed producers, and they sound changed. And I think Lonnie Simmons was responsible for help shaping that sound that we became accustomed to, the synthesized bass stuff. The early part, they were doing a lot of horns, but down the line, they stopped doing the horn thing and they was doing the synthesized thing. And, they found their sound that was very marketable. Because, we think of Prince right out the gate. That was Prince sound, And as time progressed, Prince changed his sound, evolved. And normally it's supposed to, you can't ride the same horse for 10 years, so to speak, Music changed every other year, or every year. So you got to change with it. If not, you become a dinosaur and you no longer be able, to sell anything because nobody wants to put you on a record label. But there's definitely a difference between the Gap Band sound doing those early recordings on another label versus Total Experience when it was being produced by Lonnie Simmons, And again, it's the same thing with the Isley Brothers. I think a lot of people just didn't notice because we were too young to notice that. But again, when you listen to that stuff from the 60s, that stuff from the late 60s or the 50s, late 50s, 60s, and then that transition when it started like in the early 70s. And everything kind of at that point became piano based, with the exception, of course, Ernie Isley, great guitar work. And also he was playing drums on those songs. Ernie is a bad mother. He's one of the most underrated guitar players out there, I believe. He is. But I'm going to sign off now, and I thought this would be an interesting post as far as Chris Jasper himself, verbatim, word for word. I read it word for word. I didn't add anything, didn't take anything out, and that's how he feels, and I totally understand, because money should never separate love. It should never block love. It should never separate love. It should never separate respect and honesty and dignity neither. But unfortunately, money carries a lot of weight, and money can make a lot of people change their views or go in another direction that they would normally not go in. So until next time, take care and thanks for watching.